Welcome to another episode of Victoria's Lounge from the Pride Inn Hotel, Nairobi. Well, we see them on film, on television, and on the stage. They bring us stories from near and far, slipping in and out of characters with ease. Actors really do bring color into our lives with their portrayals and imitation of life. Well, tonight on the show, I have the cast of Jesus Christ Superstar, and they're here to talk about their careers, about the industry, and the new project as well. So let's get started on our conversation on this special edition of the show, Actors Roundtable. Let's meet them now. Nice Givinji is a Kenyan actress, producer, karaoke hostess, vocalist, and TV show host. She is most notable for playing various roles in several television series. Stuart Nash started his career when he was 9 years old, playing the Artful Dodger in Oliver in London's world-famous West End Theatre District. Since then, his experience has been very varied, encompassing many years of production and music. He is the artistic director and founder of the Nairobi Performing Arts Studio. Mugambi Ndiga landed his first acting gig at age 5 as the little drummer boy in his nursery school nativity. Decades later, his career would grow through plays and musicals on different stages in Nairobi. Apart from acting, directing, and scripting, Mugambi is also a cast member of the comedy improv group Because You Said So. Remember, hashtag Victoria's Lounge is how you can chime into the conversation on social media. As usual, I have actors on the table. This is going to be super easy. So I know we're going to get into the project that you're getting onto later this week, but let me start with you, Mugambi.
Yes.
How did you get into acting? Who got you into acting, or what got you into acting?
Okay. Heck of a story. My very first role was at age 5.
Wow.
I played the little drummer boy in our nursery school Christmas play that we put on for the parents. And I mean, life was pretty, mundane up until then. It was the same thing ever. Like every single day, you wake up, you go to school, you come home, you spend the weekend back to school again. But this one opportunity, I remember the headmistress calling me into her office and trying on this little cloak. I'd never played dress up before. And she was like, it's perfect, this is what you're going to be wearing, and you're going to beat a little drum and people are going to watch you. And, being the firstborn 5-year-old boy, it's always keep quiet, stay in the corner, be quiet. But for once, I could make all the noise I wanted on stage and have people actually get entertained by it. It was like a little Zen experience for me as a 5-year-old.
It wasn't daunting, like you weren't nervous, people are watching you?
No, I didn't think about it that way because you had no idea what the audience was. You're just obeying instructions. Go there where the light is, beat your drum, and then get up and go. And and then my little sister was like 2 years old at the time, and she was going crazy in the audience and wanted to come and join me on stage. She was my very first fan. My mom was watching, very proud, and I was like, this isn't too bad. I think I want to do this more often. But more recently, about over a decade ago, when Serafina came to town, I auditioned for that, and I got in, and that's where it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history, yeah.
How about you, Stuart?
Oh, God. I started, I did my first show when I was 9 in the West End in London. And
Yo, no way.
Yeah.
Wow. 9 years old in the West End.
Nice.
I was Dodger in Oliver.
Wow.
What?
Not a plant. You had an actual character.
Like an actual role.
Yeah.
With words and lines.
Age 9, you were the Dodger.
Yeah. Well, they're all kids, aren't they? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's floored.
So I've been doing it a while, let me say. Yes, but actually it was kind of luck. I didn't plan to do it, and then I was still at school at the time, so I think in England you're limited as a child actor to do 40 days a year. So I did 40 days in that show, and then another 40 days because it actually came at the end of the year or something. And then kind of just went on from there, doing one thing after another. So I've been doing it a while, yeah.
So you were like a child star.
Yeah.
I don't know about star, but I was a child actor, let me say that.
Which is interesting because you see a lot of child stars, and the crossover point of becoming relevant once you are an adult is difficult.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
There are very few child stars that actually do cross over.
Yeah,
We've got Hollywood.
Yeah.
Once they actually grow up. What about you, Nice?
I wasn't in West End.
Okay.
Let's
put it out there.
First play was way back when I was, 9, class 4. We were doing the beheading of John the Baptist in primary school.
Wow.
And I was Herod's daughter, the one who asks for John's head.
At age 9?
Yeah.
You guys were doing some deep stuff while you were banging
Class
your
4.
carriage and banging
I know, right? Yeah, but wait, anyway, flash forward in high school, around when I was around 3rd form. Some guys came to our school to do set books. You know how people go around traveling theatre? So one of the cast members had been in my high school. So I just asked him, Anto, how do I do this? He said, take this number, call this producer. So I did my exam in November. The next week, right after my last paper on the 9th, the next week I was at the theatre auditioning. In December, I was on stage. And that's it. things just fell into place after that. I just kept going. Yeah.
Wow, and you've had experience on stage, film, television. Which would you say you like better?
Be careful.
I know, Nash is here.
Oh man, that question. I'll say this: there's nothing that beats the live, like sizzling energy of a stage. I mean, we were talking before the camera started rolling about improvisation. Yeah. It's the same thing with even a scripted theatre play. It's never ever the same thing on any given day. It's always something different. And the energy you get from the audience, the energy you get from your fellow cast members, whatever it is that happened that morning, whatever it is you're looking forward to that day, every single thing just boils into that one moment on stage, and it's never ever the same.
Having to make your own breaks.
Yeah.
It's also part of it.
It is. Curtains open, the lights come up. Nothing beats that.
I mean, what does that do? Because you're thinking, okay, you have your script, you've memorized your lines, and like you said, that energy that comes from the audience, like how does that feel, if you can just describe it? I mean, Nash, you know from 9 years old in the West End, but how does that feel?
I think any actor, well not any, but 99% of actors prefer stage to anything else. I think it's where they feel that they are really acting, and because a lot of film and TV stuff is shot out of sequence, so you might be on the first day filming the last part of the film.
Yeah.
So I actually think acting for film is more difficult because I think because obviously you're doing it out of sequence, and you might got all these different emotions that happen at all different times, and they're out of sequence. Whereas in a play, you're starting at the beginning, and your character's journey is happening chronologically, which doesn't happen in a film.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I think as an actor, obviously there's that immediate reward that you get from the audience that you never get from you're never really going to get from a film, and because you film it all over however many weeks or months, and then you don't actually see the finished article, finished film for like 6 months, and then I think mentally you kind of, yes, it's exciting to go to the premiere or see it for the first time, but mentally you've kind of moved on a bit. Whereas with the theatre, you're getting that immediate reward. I think it's not even that you're getting the reward, it's also that you're finding out if people think it's good or not.
Yeah.
Because there's that kind of anticipation of what do they think, think, and because it's all happening, you do a rehearsal period, then you do the show. Whereas with the film, it's more disjointed.
And I guess that's where we get that whole thing of stage fright. I mean, we use it for television and film, but it pertains more to being on stage.
Well, there are no second takes, are there? I mean,
if
it goes wrong, you just have to get through it.
Which I wonder, why do actors put themselves through that? Because
that's the thing, right? See, it's therapeutic. It's a weird thing, but I don't know. Well, I'm an adrenaline junkie, so it feeds me. How scared I get, how my fingers shake, and that's just before I get on stage. But the minute I say the first line, everything goes. I literally do not see the audience. I'm blank, But it's that rush. It's like a drug.
Is it like almost being in an outer body experience?
That's a good.
If you do it well enough, that's how it should feel.
Yeah. And I think if you actually stood there and thought, oh, there's 2,000 people watching me, then you would go, and then you'd probably panic.
Yeah. But how do you manage the stage fright though? Because it does happen.
You use it. Use it. Stage fright is not. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a thing. In fact, in the absence, my worst. I'll come to that.
Okay. No, yeah. Finish your thought.
I've never. I'm actually worried if I'm not nervous before getting up on stage, because it means I'm not really.
You should
feeling
be
it.
It's
Yeah, I don't
nervous.
care about
not,
it.
Yeah, they're not going to give a great performance.
Yeah.
So
the
what's that
nerves
story
are
about?
always there.
Actually, let me ask you this. What was it like the first night, I've never asked you about this, the first night in April?
Superstar. Oh my goodness. You remember how the curtains opened early?
Opening night.
Right, yeah.
Opening night had its own drama. There's this music cue that the guy on the curtains waits for, and it plays twice. He waits for it to play the second time, and that's when the curtains need to open. So the curtains open during the overture, and I'm still there like, oh, let's do this, let's do this. And then you hear the wheels of the curtain rolling, and suddenly the light is on you, and you're like, oh. And then we had to just sit there and face the audience for probably a minute and a half while the overture continues playing before any singing happened. Myself and the guy playing Jesus at the time, Dana said, just staring out into the audience and trying to stay in character.
Well, he's okay, because he was in like a frozen position, so to make any difference.
It was, but still you're like, okay, now this was not supposed to happen. And then I could imagine him yelling at the back, like, why did the curtains
Why you didn't hear me?
Why is this happening? But then the music started playing and we got into it, and I was like, I'm glad that I got acquainted somewhat with the audience for the minute and a half.
Right.
And suddenly they weren't these strange beings on the other side. Suddenly I was like, oh, you guys are my friends now. We've been hanging out for a minute and a half saying nothing. Let's do this.
My goodness. But I like the fact that you said that if you're not nervous before a show, then there's something wrong.
I agree.
Yeah,
I think that's true.
Yeah, because it shows that it means something to you, and there needs to be, there's almost like an exchange, if you will, from the actor to the audience.
And it's an energy thing as well. I think if nervousness comes adrenaline, and then that gives you a boost of energy. And if you don't have that, I think you're going to give a below par performance.
Right, right. For
I'm
you,
sure
Nice.
You get nervous though.
A lot.
Do you?
Yeah, and it's more or less the same thing, because I guess in the industry you feel, yeah, if I'm not, this doesn't mean much to me. And it's the same thing if you're thinking about people watching you, because people are like, don't you get nervous when the camera goes on and it's live, and once you said something, it's gone? It's like, yeah, I mean, I think for an actor or even a presenter, it's the recovery process that makes the difference. How do you come back from that?
You could forget your line, and that's why it's terrible if you cram what you're supposed to do. It's better if you understand what's going on, because lines get lost all the time. But the idea is not being verbatim to what's happening. Do you get what's going on? So if I can say something generally in the direction of what is going on, then it's fine.
It's amazing what audiences don't notice, and you can actually get away. They're never going to notice something like a few lines being changed. I mean, obviously, if like a pillar falls over, they're going to notice that. But then you still get people say,
sometimes
"Oh, we
pillars
thought it
fall
was."
over and you work around it, and it looks like it was
we
part
thought
of
it
the
was.
show.
Yeah. And then somebody will say, "Oh, I thought it represented the destruction of the Roman Empire or something." They'll justify
Symbolism, right?
Yeah, because they just don't imagine that things could go wrong like that.
Yeah, unless you have now industry people in there watching and they know the difference. But hey, I mean, how many people do you have coming to watch? Yeah, and speaking of industry, we will be talking about it after the break. You're watching Victoria's Lounge, the Actors Roundtable. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge. It's the Actresses Round Table.
I don't like that name.
You don't like actress?
No.
You just want to be actor.
Actor, like why is there no doctress and lawyeress?
That is true.
It doesn't make sense.
That
Why
is
do you
true.
put a feminine to the profession?
But there's so many professions that have the whole feminine thing.
So in my mind, I think being an actress says you play female roles. As an actor, I think I can swing anything. Just give me the chance and I could be a man or a woman.
Speaking of which, because you have Mkamze playing Parrot.
Yeah.
That was interesting. So how do you kind of get to that?
Okay, so this show was written in 1972, I think, and it's been done a number of times, and we wanted to do something that, what I didn't want was loads of people walking around in sackcloth, like it was just, set 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So what we actually did was took elements of it and made it it's not really set in any particular time, and it's not set in any particular place. Okay. So we've made, Herod a woman, which I thought was kind of a bit funky and modern. And actually, someone said we could do an all-female version and just have Mary as a guy.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so she's. Then we've made Pontius Pilate a Nazi SS officer.
Oh, wow.
And then the guards are GSU police. So that it's not set anywhere and it's not set at any time. Yeah, so it's kind of everywhere and any time. So it's like saying this could happen anywhere.
I think the genius of Stuart Nash, our director, is that he adapted a timeless piece into Kenya in present day. But like, I mean, we've seen different versions of Jesus Christ Superstar, and there's one that was performed at the O2 Arena. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh, the one with Mel C playing Mary.
Yes, with Mel C playing Mary, and they took the whole London riots, which had happened not too long before, as the whole sense of revolution into which Jesus came and became relevant. Yeah, and so it was the overture is playing, these news clips playing, and there's a riot simulated with news clips playing and social media and hashtags, and there was a hashtag for the play itself. It was pretty cool. So I'm like, you can actually adapt it to whatever you want to do it. Again, the joy of theatre.
Speaking of, I'm told that the first time JCS was ever done in Kenya, my bro was in it. Note that he was born in 1969, so he did it way back in high school. That's way before Akina Mombi Kaigwa did it.
Wow. That's in the 70s. Right?
Yes, and he played a role.
He played Judas?
Yes, he was Judas, my big brother.
What is it like playing Judas, by the way?
It's fun. One of the reasons why Jesus Christ Superstar could be considered controversial by many is because Judas is presented as a sympathetic character. One who actually considers what he's doing honorable. For the sake of Jesus, for the sake of the message that Jesus was trying to spread, for the sake of the 12 disciples. Because even historically, they were occupied by the Romans. And so all this talk about mutiny and revolution and stuff would be crushed underfoot like that. And Judas is like, Jesus, if you carry on the way you are, you're going to get us all in trouble and you're going to get yourself in trouble as well. So how about I put you out of your misery, hand you over to the authorities, they'll arrest you, scare you into silence, and you'll come out and this thing will come to an end. And, well, spoiler alert, Jesus dies in the end.
So it flips it on its head, if you will, about the whole story and how we know it. But let's talk about roles, because I'm sure you've played so many different characters to date. What would you say was your favorite?
A film I did for Amof, Africa Magic Original Films. At a time they were doing that. So it was called East. It's just a story about Islands. See, people are in the habit of casting me as this pretty girl, this bougie, this, you know what I mean?
I wonder.
So this, I don't know, right? That's the last thing I am.
Yes, nice.
Are you being sarcastic, Mogambi? Because I mean it.
Completely.
Anyways, so East was pretty nice. I was this chick from the ghetto. I spoke Madsheng. I got to hang out with guys from Kawangware so that I could learn the lingo. So far, yes. It was the best because it was the most challenging. To me, a role is as good as how challenging it is, So yes, that.
How about you, Nash?
Okay, the best part the best show production I think I was in was a show called Sweeney Todd. I played Tobias.
The little boy.
Yeah, the whole stage was black and white. They stripped out all of the curtains, everything. You could see the bricks on the back wall, and the whole thing was just black and white. The only thing that was red in a colour in the show was Mrs. Lovett's lipstick and the blood.
Wow.
So that was really good. Wow. It was really.
Wow. So it was really just about the acting. That's what
It was just really. I think it was just really inspired. I think things when they're stripped back to almost nothing really expose the acting and the quality of the work, and that was the best show I've ever done. Yeah.
How about you, Mugambi?
I mean, there's been quite a number, but I think Nairobi Half-Life still holds a very special place. Because up until Nairobi Half-Life, we didn't know what was capable, what we were capable of doing, what was possible. And I remember from audition, right from the audition, our casting director said, you guys, this is going to be something special. Like, we've not seen anything like this before. And I didn't get the role the first time, and the guy who got the role had to drop out because of scheduling issues with something else, and therefore I was told, you're back up.
I bet he regrets that.
I am sure he does.
So when I got on set, people weren't even like, who's this guy? It was supposed to be the other guy. And all my wardrobe was a little bit bigger because the guy was a little bit taller than me. And we started rolling, and I was really nervous because there's all these people who'd been there, and they all had this chemistry, and there was a lot of white folk, and these big cameras and big lights. Yeah, like, it was like, we don't want to waste any time, you know, it's like, let's keep going. And I was like, what if I mess up? But it ended up being such an amazing experience. And then watching it 2 years later, and all of us were like, look what we did. Like, this is so...
Half-Life really was pivotal for the industry, which, you know, I guess we can get into that. We hadn't seen anything like that production-wise. Storyline, and we were talking about this earlier, it resonated with a lot of people.
It did, yeah.
You know, do you think that's why it was so successful?
I think so, yes. Everyone likes a story about someone that goes from the bottom and fights his way to the top. And the person, Moas, the lead character, played to perfection by Joseph Babu Erimo, excellent actor, was a sympathetic enough character for us to still be on his side when he was turning to a life of crime. And we're like, yeah, we've seen where he's come from, struggling to be an actor, struggling to raise money, to come to Nairobi to audition, getting robbed at bus station. I mean, everyone can relate to that story. The crime story in Nairobi, you know, all of us are familiar with that. I think that's why people loved the story so much. And it represents Nairobi in its gritty urban glory. And, you know, we all liked that.
Yeah. And Nash, I mean, you've experienced the industry in the UK, here in Kenya. What's your assessment of where we're at in terms of the arts?
I think it's something which, I've actually spoken to Mkamze about this quite a lot. And it seems that in the 80s there was like a lot of arty stuff going on, and then it kind of dropped off. Why was that? Why did it drop off?
There were a lot of political plays, okay? So then it was just, it was like the offshoot of theater in Kenya, all right? And then we've come from independence and whatnot. And then here we are with a dictator for president. So it was sort of an outlet. So artists would write very political plays and whatnot, so they got banned. So that's why that was the boiling point.
But political plays is like a small part of theatre or film, isn't it? Or did it just take over?
What shut down the industry?
Yeah, it was a way,
If someone had that, we're doing Betrayal in the City, for instance, and I'd never seen a theatre play before, and I know Betrayal in the City had all these political elements that I could get behind, that became a good entry point for maybe this theatre thing is actually something to try out. Audiences were also really diverse then. I mean, we still had Phoenix players that had that exorbitant membership fee at the time, and that was a more highbrow type of theatre where it was repertory theatre. Yeah, they do the Samuel French published play.
So it is either citrus in for the political Kenyan, I understand Kenya, I know that's going to make sense to me, or you go to the other side where
the more bougie stuff was happening.
Yeah.
Because the way it seems to me as an outsider is that a lot of anything I see here tends to, I don't want to say the wrong thing, it seems quite inward looking. They're always about Kenya, they're always about some tribal element, there's about a guy who's cheating on his wife, who's pregnant, that kind of thing, or teenage pregnancy. I can't imagine a Kenyan writing Jesus Christ Superstar.
So is it people are afraid to think outside of the box?
I don't know what it is. I think if you go to any of the great theatre capitals of the world, there'll be not just English or American writers, there'll be Scandinavian writers, Indian writers, there'll be a whole writers from all over the world. Their plays or musicals or whatever will be being done. If you look at Broadway or the West End or Toronto or Sydney, I'm sure if you look at their programme throughout the year, there will be writers from all different races. But yeah, it tends to be a bit, to me...
I could almost blame it on us as an audience. We don't try. Kenyans are, if you put up a Cinderella story, if you do a Luanda Magere, they'll say you're trying to be something different.
But what's wrong with that?
Precisely. We think there's something wrong with that.
Exactly. Why?
I don't know why we are yet to understand that as an artist, the idea is to be out there, write scripts about Mars and whatnot, you know?
I thought the whole point of art is pushing boundaries and doing things that have not been done.
That's the whole point. But then if all you're doing it for is to make money, you're going to use the easiest way out. You won't try to be artsy about it. You'll just go...
I mean, I'll give you a brilliant example. There was a time in the mid-2000s, I don't know if you remember, where people would take published plays And then it's not happening as often now. But I remember there was like probably 3 or 4 theatre groups that were doing the exact same thing. They'll take a farce, just the easy access plays,
of that too.
and then adapting them just a little to escape paying. Are you nice?
Not to escape paying.
Really?
Yeah, let me tell you, that's the thing. I tell you, it's an audience problem, because I'll bring a Samuel L. French script, I will use all those references about Britain, and people will walk out. They want you to use Nairobi, they want you not to say quid, say penny, say things that make sense to them. So that's the problem.
So is it necessarily a bad thing? Because they're saying pretty much, I don't know, that we're willing to consume, but we're willing to consume
what we want.
What is familiar to us. Don't challenge me. Don't give me anything that I don't know or not familiar with.
Thing personally, because I think we all, whichever country we're from, we're however advanced or unadvanced a country may be, or I think, or developing, I think that we all need outside influence from anywhere.
We can't say that we don't have people who have tried to take the risks.
No, they have.
They are there. There are people who've done better TV shows that you could ever imagine. You'll watch a pilot and go like, oh my God, a Kenyan did this. Or read a script. But then no one is going to buy it. It's not going to go anywhere. So half of our content is in our drives. We just have scripts on our Celtex and pilots on our drives. GBs and GBs, but no one is going to take the risk.
So, but do you think the way we have done Jesus Christ Superstar is different?
Absolutely.
It is.
It is.
Enough
the
to
people like it, don't
resonate
they?
with
Generally.
They do, but then
the
numbers could have been better.
I think they don't know the story.
I think the reason that the numbers weren't so good is, number one, the theatre thought it would be a good idea to do something about Jesus over Easter, and then people thought it was a crusade, so they didn't come.
good point.
And that was that was the main thing.
Good point.
So should we see the Jesus Christ?
But anybody who came to see it loved it generally.
No, they did,
I mean, there were like people tweeting
It's
about
refreshing.
it.
It's something new.
And let's see if that's the verdict in the next couple of days when they come see the show. I know we'll be talking a lot more about it after this short break. You're watching Victoria's Lounge, Actors Roundtable. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. You're watching Victoria's Lounge Special Edition, Actors Round Table. During the break, we're just kind of having this conversation about content, and the fact that the audience doesn't seem as receptive to something that's different. We were talking about kati kati.
Yes.
Right? And that's dealing with a concept that, okay, in African culture, the afterlife generally, people don't talk about it much, but here, it's been put in a storyline that's quite interesting, and it's a local production, What do you think that means for the industry when something like that comes out?
Talking about kati kati, I wish more people saw it to start with. Kati kati is a bit of an anomaly. It was, for a lot of logistical reasons, we couldn't premiere it in Nairobi as early as we wanted it to. It premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival September of last year, 2016, and won a really prestigious award, the Fipreski Award, which is like International Film Critics Award, and that already got people's attention. It wasn't until about 5 months, 4 or 5 months later, that it was premiering in Nairobi. And the day of the premiere was amazing. People came out and it was lovely. And there was a lot of very visceral, emotional reactions to the film, which we're really happy about. But it was on the screen for all of 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks, that was it. Nairobi Half-Life was on the screens for 7 months. 7 whole months,
so what would you blame that on?
Kati Kati was not the most accessible film. Just like you said, it deals with matters of the afterlife, matters of guilt and regret. It's a film about a lady who checks into what appears to be a holiday camp, and it turns out that it's where dead people, the dead souls of people just have to go through certain things in their brain and get over some certain things before they can go on to the next step. That's the basic storyline.
But see, do you remember before we started watching local TV, no one ever touched local shows, And then this guy comes and says, it's okay, I'm going to open a station and everything I'm going to do is local. Then all of a sudden, everyone wanted to do local. Now, if only somebody would take the same risk now and have quality local, then Kenyans would see that there's better things out there. But as far as what we have is what we have then.
So what's stopping us from having quality local stuff? local content? What's
advertisements? Come on, computer, like you don't know. It's advertisements.
The money.
Yeah.
Everyone goes down to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
And if the show does not appeal to that, it's deemed too clever, too out there, too futuristic, ahead of its time.
Too
People
fake,
will not, too artificial. You're trying to be this, that, or the other.
You're not original enough.
Yeah, that sort of thing. There'll always be some reasoning behind it.
You almost have to retrain people to go for some. I mean, you're in, because you said so, the improv comedy show.
Yeah.
And we're talking about that earlier because it's not like what we're used to in terms of the slapstick comedy shows that are out there. And you guys are really trying to push and put in effort. What has the reception been like?
It's been good.
Okay.
I would not lie. It's actually been really good.
So it's not too clever.
Yeah.
It is very clever.
No, it is though.
Very clever.
It is, but I mean,
it is clever. Let me put it this way. If we presented, before we ever went on stage and we went and presented this show and we tried and experimented with it and shot a pilot and said, hey, we have this thing called improvisational comedy, we'd be told, shut down immediately and told, this is too clever, this is too ahead of the time for, and people are not going to get it. It's not going to, don't even bother, it's not going to go anywhere. But we have been on stage for 3.5 years now, largely sold out shows, so there's definitely a need for that. But still, people will talk about, let's adapt this content to TV, and then we'll go to the TV stations and be like, hey, we have the video ready, do you want to go? And they're like, no, I don't think the Kenyan audiences are going to like this. So,
do you feel that, because this happens a lot in my experience, that the people who are choosing the programs are not artistic, have no artistic background at all?
Yeah, it's suits.
It's
in the,
yeah.
I can't be, because these are people I work with.
But you see,
you have to be careful.
You can't blame everyone, let's be honest. First of all, how old is this country? Let's even forget how old our industry is. You know, we at some point, I think it's going to take time before we get to where we want, number one. Number two, I think we started teaching people film and nini like 3 years ago in our campuses. So where are we going to get the execs to work for the stations that are supposed to buy them? No, you know what I mean? I think it's I don't know, perhaps we're going towards that, I don't know.
So I don't know if that's the case of what you guys need to do a bit more.
I think we've done that in certain...
In a sense. Yeah.
I think in Digital Superstar we have, and obviously in Kati Kati you did that. So I think it's something that is starting to happen, and I think there's definitely, I've only been here on and off for a couple of years, but from what I've been told, that there's a resurgence in like the arts and theatre generally, and obviously film. I think it's starting, and once that juggernaut really takes off, there'll be no stopping it, and everybody will be jumping on the bandwagon. But I think it's just starting now. I think in 5 or 10 years, it will be completely different.
Yeah, so there's definitely need for support, not just from the audience, but from the people who will give you that platform. Are you feeling like you're not getting that as much from maybe the industry, the TV stations, or someone who can let you put yourself out there? I know I'm putting myself in a very awkward position because I'm working for that TV station, but still, I mean, do you feel like you can get more support from?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think so. I like that there's a movement on the fringes, just like he's talking about. There's movements on the fringes of film, of theatre, or music videos, for instance. I mean, you guys remember when Hahe Makmende came out? We had never seen anything like that before. And it took that to become viral online for the TV stations to accept it. It's not like they tried selling this song. They had not tried selling this song to the stations. They had, but they didn't take it. It's only when it went viral and they come rushing back like, give it to us. So my wish was that I wish everyone was a little bit more experimental. Let's try and fail and try again. You never know where something might
take
work.
that plunge. Yeah. So how much of a difference do you think social media makes? Because you said they started off on the digital platform, then all of a sudden mainstream is like, oh, so how much of a role do you think social media plays in helping to make something more relevant?
When you see a lot of something, it somehow becomes more acceptable and you warm to it. And because you're just getting a constant stream of stuff through Facebook and social media, I think people become more accepting of things quicker than maybe they would have done, say, 20 years or 30 years ago. Yeah.
So as we wrap up, I want to get this from all of you. Of course, yes, reasons for people to go and see Jesus Christ Superstar, but also your hopes for the industry. Where do you want to see it? Where do you want it to go?
If we had a play showing at a theatre on the level of Jesus Christ Superstar 4 times a year, if we had 3 Kati Katis coming out every single year, and we had an industry, an actual industry that has raw product going on one end and an excellent finished product come out on the other, people making money out of it and a livelihood. No politics involved. Anyone knows the film industry has a lot of politics involved. Then I would say we're making progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I would like to see at the the National Theatre is that it continues on this path. I think there's a new CEO who's been there kind of about 6 months called Edwin Gishangi, and he's very, very supportive of us, and he has helped us with this show. He's the one that we actually have a contract with him, with the theatre, to do 3 or 4 productions a year. So this is like the first of many. He's really, I think he does have that kind of vision, because I don't know if 5 years ago this kind of show would have been done, because it's, you know, they put money into it, we've put money into it, so it's like a co-production. So I hope that this does continue. Obviously, it's something that's a work in progress, and we need to increase audiences. But the next show we're doing after this is Greece, which Nice is in as well.
I'd like to see us trying more, like he said, taking more risks. I want to see, we only have 1 theatre, the whole of Nairobi. Phoenix was shut down. If we had 3 little Phoenix theatres, then we know you have a big show, take it to the National Theatre. Okay. But everyone's needs is catered for. You want to watch a Q play, you go there, you go here, you know. Yeah. So if we could have more places where artists could get a chance to try to take the risks.
Like an off-Broadway type
Precisely,
deal.
yeah. Okay. Same thing with film, same thing with TV.
I hope it's heard. Thank you so much, Mugambi, Stewart, and Nice. So make sure you go see that show. Thank you so much. This is a very insightful conversation. And support local talent in the arts. That's the only way this industry can grow. Thanks for watching Victoria's Lounge. Thank you to the Pride Inn Hotel for hosting us. Let's do this again next week. Have a lovely evening.